Good evening and welcome to the Minions of the Zoo Harry is Sick edition. I'm your host and keeper of the Harry channel, and with me tonight are minions SkepTok.
Hi, everybody.
DrFunctional.
Hi.
Serenity Star 13.
Hi, we have the coughing duo tonight.
Serenity Star. Oh, yeah, that's right. And Sora Luna.
Hello.
Zuta Lore. Hi, Sora.
Zuta Lore? Do you know what that means?
I don't remember now.
Means well, damn.
That's right.
Yeah, basically.
Well, damn, Sora Luna.
Hey.
Hey now. So
And that Sora Luna.
So I have the miserable cold. It doesn't seem to be the miserable COVID. It's just like the miserable cold. I was looking up the latest stuff on colds, of course, and it said that the average adult in the US gets one 3 to 4 times a year, but a lot of times they only last like a day.
Yeah.
So they almost don't count. But they say that the little filthy monsters, the little kids, they're like 5 to 6 times a year. Because they're constantly sticking their little digits into things and then sucking on them and just generally being gross.
Ew.
Well, they
Yeah.
also don't have developed immune systems, Harry. Like, good lord.
Well, they better get on it.
That's what the point of growing is.
That seems rather lazy to me.
They were born with their mom's immune system, and it's like, you know, you're two
Not how that
already.
works.
Just
That's
get on
not
it.
how that works at all.
That's not how that works.
That's not how that works
You're
at
3
all.
days old.
Serenity is right.
No, I thought that when they were actually born, right? When they're born, they're sharing a bunch of antibodies and stuff with the mother.
They
but
do,
that
but
wears
it's for a
off
short
fast
time.
because
Yeah.
they don't have the B cells and stuff.
It's for a good time, not a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just meant to get them over the hump so this way they don't get botulism and die.
Yeah.
Well, it's the internal protection. Once they're born, they get antibodies. Some, not as much as when they were in the womb, from the breast milk.
Yeah. That's the reason why if you
So,
can't
eventually that sort of-
breastfeed,
Yeah,
you have to be
that's
careful
why-
with the formula.
And that's why after a while it sort of wears off because those antibodies no longer work for the child because they start producing their own. That their body goes, "Hey, I got this, Chief."
That's the reason why doctors wait 6 months and then give the babies vaccinations.
Yeah.
Don't we
That's
give them
why.
like hepatitis B vaccinations when they're 2 days old now or some crazy thing? I mean, it's
No, not that I
pretty
know of.
aggressive.
I told you. Oh, yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
gonna get into
no.
that because
I
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
start fucking freaking out.
Well, like all I know is that I was of the age group because I was born in the 80s because I'm that old. Oh God.
Yeah, you're so old.
That I was in the age group that they gave the fake and real polio vaccines to, and my mother still believes to this
What?
day, and the way things are going, that I was given the fake one. So
What? No, wait,
Yeah.
wait. Whoa. They gave you guys real and placebo vaccines?
there was a small test group that they were doing it to see if kids that young really needed it to, but they didn't tell anybody until years later. There's a whole big hub to do.
I've never heard of this. This is
Oh, yeah.
incredible.
They did the same thing to my mom. That's the reason why my mom got polio when she was 14.
Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
good
But you were
times.
talking to Sora, and I apologize to go back to Sora.
Hi, Sora.
So I was curious about
Okay,
this
Harry's
because
weak. We can take over the show.
it sounded weird. So through the government of Canada, I made vaccine schedules for my 1-month-old. And at 2 months old, they get diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, Hep B, polio, and Haemophilus influenza type B, as well as meningococcal, pneumococcal, and rotavirus.
Yeah, that
That's
sounds
the
about right.
2-month-old vaccines at 2 months.
Wait, when did you have a kid?
She did. She's just looked it up.
Oh,
In
okay.
The
Damn.
for the purposes of this discussion, because I thought 2 months was way too young. So, because they ask you, they create a schedule for you. So they ask you, when's your kid born, year, which province you're living in, and then the year and month of your child's birth. So I just said 2025 January, BC.
Yeah,
So-
ours is the same, except the babies, when they're newborns, get the first part of the Hep B vaccine because it's a 3-parter. So when they're newborns, they get it within 24 hours of birth, the Hep B. Dose 2 is when they're 2 months. And I think 3 is either 4 or 6 months. I think, no, 6 months.
For us, it's so Hep B part 1, I guess, would be 2 months old. Hep B 2 is 4 months old. Hep A, and Hep B 3 is 6 months.
That sounds delightful.
A lot of these are dose 1s, too, it looks like. Yeah. The diphtheria, hemophilus, and pneumococcal, and polio, there's polio, IPV, are all dose 1s at 2 months for us down here. And then they get dose 2 at 4 months, and then you get dose 3 at 6 months. And then down here, they get the flu vaccine.
I remember when they were just like, yeah, here's the world. Don't die.
Well, it's like I was.
Well, I mean, they get
Here, have a
MMR,
Yeah, yeah.
polio,
I don't think
MMR, polio, and
I have
something else. But that was like
hepatitis. It's now hepatitis A is at 12 months. I know now.
Well, you guys have a like 72 something number of vaccine scheduling, and up here it's something like 30 something.
Well, because
I didn't even know that there were that many things that we had to be like.
well, I mean, diphtheria is bad. The Haemophilus influenza is real bad. Pneumococcal conjecta is very bad. Polio, yeah, that sucks.
yeah.
Rotavirus is not fun. The flu vaccine, most doctors will let you get away with pushing the flu vaccine back for little kids if they're not around a lot of people. So for the most part, they'll let you get away with that one.
We have a chickenpox vaccine now. 12
Yep.
months old. You get your varicella. I didn't know that was a thing. When did that come out?
Not too long ago. I think. No,
Yeah, it must have
15
been when we were kids, right? Because
You're talking to a kid who had chickenpox twice. So everything. I had a minor case when I was 8 months old, and I had a bad case when I was 6. I
Well,
still have
that's
scars.
Not fun.
It is what it is.
You know how I got these scars?
That's how I got these scars. Oh yeah, the
Take
Kentucky.
the shit out of my face.
All right,
I had to wear mitts.
we can tell Harry's sick because he's let us all just go off the rails.
Just said he's weak. We can overpower him.
Let's scream.
Let's scream.
Okay.
Are you pouting, you dog? Where did he go?
All right. So Sora, anything new you'd
Yeah.
like to share with the class other than the vaccination schedule for British Columbia?
Sorry, that was
No,
out
it's
of-
okay.
unexpected. Yeah, it's for people who don't know, Invictus, which is kind of like
Hi.
hello.
Sorry, I was talking to the dog. I unmuted when I unmuted when he and didn't realize he came back and I said hi. Didn't realize I unmuted. Sorry.
It's okay.
The dog is more important anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Invictus games have commenced here in Vancouver, Whistler in BC. It's for veterans, both veterans, those injured in service as well as active duty. They compete. Members of the armed forces. I think it's 20. Is it either 23 or 25 nations are competing this year, and I went to the opening ceremonies. A complete last minute. A few days ago, I was like, oh, let's see if there's any tickets left. The tickets, there were still. I managed to get a couple. They were not expensive, and it was such a great time. Really, really fun. That was this morning. Well, early afternoon. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, what are the Invictus games? Because you posted those pictures, and I'm like, what is this? I don't
So they're
understand.
all it's all adaptive sports. All the games they're adaptive sports, and the majority, if not all, of the players have some sort of disability that they have received due to their active service, whatever branch of military they may have served. And
Pretty neat.
yeah, there's and this is the first year that they have winter games as well, because they're being held in Whistler. Like 50% of that will be in Whistler, which is our ski resort. And so they have like skeleton. Oh, I can pull it up. There's all sorts of stuff. Luge, I think maybe. Curling. Yeah, cool stuff. I try to get tickets for because I can't go up. It's during the week. I'm working, so I'm not able to go up to Whistler. But I try to find tickets for some like swimming, because swimming is like literally super close to me for where they are. So I thought like, oh, they are all sold out. Everything is sold out, because any place where it's limited seats, they've been sold out for ages, which is good.
Yeah.
It's also very affordable. So for people who live around here, it's great, because they were like, depending on where you're going, it was under $20 a ticket.
Nice.
Yeah. So which was nice to see for the games. But yeah, they have Romania's they have a team, and so is Canada. So I'm rooting for two sides. They have quite a large group who came. Very interesting. Wasn't expecting it.
Are people betting
and I
on
ended
it?
up getting really cool seats. We're right up on top of the entrance, so we got to see all the people come in when the Walk of Nations happened, and everyone was cheering, and they had like so pipe bands are really big here. SFU, Simon Fraser University, has a very famous pipe band. So like this is like bagpipes. And then our RCMP has excellent pipe bands. Now, they didn't bring the RCMP. They had the military bands. Absolutely phenomenal. They're big brass band, their pipe band. They also had singers. I don't remember the woman who sang "O Canada." I think she was private something. They're all active military personnel who were a part of this. She was very good. Like the best singer I've ever seen at something like this for O Canada, and she sang it a mix of it in English and French. So the way it was mixed together, every verse was a different language. Very nice. Yeah. Excellent. I didn't expect much. Honestly, part of it was because they had like Chris Martin was coming, Katy Perry was coming, and we're like, oh, the tickets are fairly cheap. Let's go see them in concert. And it ended up being an absolutely cool show. Very, very fantastic. Very, very cool. And of course, you have like Prince Harry. He did a speech because he was part of the creation of this. Which was fine. Lots of very nice speeches. Lots of people were excited. I don't know. We need more fun like this in Vancouver. So for me, just to see people out there, and it was full. I don't know if it was sold out, but you did not see a lot of empty places. All the upper, so like what would have been the cheaper seats where I was in, was completely sold out. Like you couldn't see any empty seats whatsoever. And then down below us, maybe 1, 2 here or there, but I can't be sure if people weren't just away from their seats,
Fun.
Yeah.
You mean you're not enjoying the free heroin from the government?
Harry.
What? Oh, that. Sorry. Is that a picture of Prince Harry?
Yes,
Sorry.
that is.
Yeah.
I apologize.
She was there too.
Yeah.
We will not name her. We will not name her.
She did not come up on stage, and it was I
Good.
think what it was appreciated. She just stayed in the seat in the stand.
Yeah.
To be fair, people cheered. So as far as I know, no one booed. But I will say this is my little. This is going to be my little. I had
soapbox.
A wicked little laugh at this. Every time they would show them, like they didn't really show them that often. So the cameras, and when they did put them on the big screen, it was for like 5 seconds, 6 seconds tops. It wasn't enough to get beyond the yay, I'm here trying to take a photo, right? And it was never enough, because it's as if they're like, okay, we're gonna time this. We don't want to give anybody a chance to possibly boo or do anything, which I'm glad no one did. I would have been embarrassed on behalf of our city if they did that, because it's Invictus. It shouldn't be about them. It should be about the athletes, right?
Yeah.
Drive by camera, just
yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it felt like, and it was more ridiculous each time it happened, and I just like, okay, this is too much. Like they should have just limited to maybe 3 times. It was like what, 2 and a bit hours. They should have left it to like 3 times, and then just before he left his seat to make his opening speech, and then that's it. Instead, it was like, a handful of times, and it was just more ridiculous each time that it barely stayed on them before it went away. And then one of the sponsors, so there's 2 big co-sponsors. One is Boeing. And so they had the president of President Global, which is some doctor something or other. He's some Australian guy. He did a pretty decent speech. But it was just, I went with a friend, and we're both like, oh, they need the good PR right now.
They do. We'll be talking about Boeing a little later.
Oh, perfect. Boing.
So I have a question for you, Skep. Did we lose Skep?
To what? Yes.
Okay, so Meghan Markle, on a scale of Yoko Ono to Wallace Simpson, where does she land?
Actually, it's like Wallace. She studied Wallace Simpson and said, hold my Chardonnay. I'm going to do it better than you can.
Yeah.
Wallace Simpson was one of the most vile, selfish, least attractive people you can think of. A shrewish, sociopathic woman who glommed onto a just constitutionally weak man who was king at the time. And I see the same thing happening again. This looks just like that. If this guy had a secret arrangement with the Nazi party, that it would be complete. So yeah, Meghan Markle, she's just she's the modern version of Wallace Simpson.
She's pretty middling too. I've seen clips of her on, I guess, what was she on, the fake lawyer show?
Suits.
I mean, the show with the fake lawyer.
No, she's bright like Kamala Harris is bright.
Well, she was on there, and the actors all seem to be pretty decent on that show. I mean, for TV, right? I mean, they're pretty good TV actors and stuff. But she just really was obviously weak. Just as a performer, she just really didn't have the screen presence of any of the other people that they were dealing with on that show. It's just, she's not good. She's not good.
I got casting call for that show so many times, I just kept saying no.
Did they shoot it in Toronto?
Yeah.
Nice.
If they're trying to fake Chicago or New York, they shoot in Toronto.
Yeah.
If they're trying to fake anything on the West Coast, they shoot in Vancouver.
BC, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense. I mean, a lot of our architecture is very similar, like the older stuff.
Yeah. And if they're
Very
trying to fake New England, they shoot in Montreal.
Of course. Yeah. No, that's...
I don't know why I remember that there was something that was niggling in the back of my head every time my agent would call me about that show. But anytime it was a cop procedural or like murder porn or something, I was like, hell yeah. I loved playing a cop or FBI or something. That was always fun.
So, Skep,
I get to perp walk people.
Yes.
Yay.
was there anything you wanted to share before we get started? I didn't mean to let the conversation wander.
No, nothing at all. It's going to wander quite a bit with this crew.
Okay.
But one thing I did. Well, no. That's okay. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing right now.
Okay.
Move on smartly.
So functional.
Move along home.
Yeah,
Yes.
you were asking me in Discord, what was it, about cop procedural shows, and you said, well, which one do I like? And I said Bosch, which I like quite a bit.
I like that show.
As a modern thing, you know, I mean, there's obviously classic things that I enjoyed quite a bit. Setting those aside, right? If you're looking at something that's by a modern writer for modern audiences, I think Bosch holds up very well. And I think Titus Welliver is... he's got a lot of screen presence. And, you know, when I'm watching that show, I forget that he's an actor. And that's what I want. I don't want people breaking the fourth wall, not on something like that. I want to kind of get sucked into it. And I'm trying to not work. I'm trying to relax or something, you know, to distract me. Don't pull me out of it. And the casting on that show is good, but the writing's good too. The main thing is that the whole story is just well thought out because it's a mystery, right? You know, it's actually pretty great. What was the show that they did? It was some cop show where it always opened up and you knew who the culprit was, but then the whole show was about getting you to the point of the police figuring out who it was. That always struck me as being anticlimactic, but I can't remember which show it was. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
I can't. It's not coming. Like I can picture watching myself watching the show. Don't remember what it was.
Yeah. Well, it'll come to us at the least convenient time. We'll be talking about the Space Launch System, and then you're going to go, oh. You know. It'll be fine. We have to talk about Canadian stuff because we talked about that before the show, but I need to say hello to everybody first before we do that.
It wasn't Columbo, was it?
No, it was some classic thing.
It was a joke.
I was about to say, because Columbo, the whole thing was him twisting it around and you going, son of a bitch.
It was Mrs. Columbo. Mrs. Columbo. You know who played Mrs. Columbo, don't you?
Lasky?
No, Kate Mulgrew.
Oh, yeah, Janeway, not Lasky.
Yeah, Janeway.
Sorry, I was watching TUES today, and the last episode that was on before the show started, before the link you gave me the link, was the episode where the actress who plays Catherine Pulaski from TNG was on it. It was in the tip of my brain.
Well, okay, it was hard. It's hard doing research for the show because, especially when I'm not feeling well, because it's very easy for my mind to sort of wander. So I was thinking about doing a music thing, and I was busy looking at clips of some soundtrack things, and I just kept getting sucked into the TV show as I was trying to collect clips. I was completely useless, and I was working on something for the show this evening, and the same thing happened. I just sort of forgot what I was doing because it's like, oh, now I'm really amused. Can't I just watch this? No, you have to actually put a show on, and guests are showing up soon. You'd be nice if you actually finished.
Harry, he just told you the show.
What?
Motive.
That's not the one.
Yeah. No, because that's exactly what happens.
Because I've never seen that show, so there's obviously another example.
Or How to Get Away with Murder?
Haven't seen that either.
Okay, good.
But
they're awful.
I think that's more of a classic TV thing. Maybe.
How to Get Away with Murder? That's like the law school bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't watch that.
Where it was okay in the beginning, and then it just devolved into bull crap.
So it's not the paper chase?
For a side, I hated that the start of that show because how they portrayed basically one professor saying, I don't care what classes you have, if you're not here 24/7 in this class and run around town for me when I say that, what are you doing in law school? That's not how it works. No school ever works this way. I fucking hate TV series who do that. And it was an instant, I don't care how good this show is ever going to be. Fuck it.
Breaking the fourth wall. That's what they're doing, because you're just thinking the whole time, this is not how things are. That's bad writing.
No, it's absolutely rude to the students in the situation, to your fellow professors, to everything. And I was like, God, I hope everyone dies in this show.
And
That's
I hope
that
this
was
show
as far
dies
as
in a
I got into
fiery
your audience,
single
too.
car crash. I hope this show gets run over by a gasoline truck and tastes its own blood. Anyway,
Jesus.
hi, Serenity.
Hi.
A little harsh.
No, it's like there's very few things that I'm that rare about. So.
No, I'm paraphrasing
I
Sam
know you are.
Kinison.
Oh yeah, no, that I understand. I'm trying to find the show other than like Lie to Me and Criminal Minds. I don't know what it is, but anyway, continue, Harry.
Lie to Me was good.
Lie to Me was good. Yes, it was. Agreed.
Well, I think sort of mysteries, cops shows and mysteries, whodunits are always.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great formula.
Oh yeah. I don't like it if it gets too dark though, because if it gets too dark, I'm just like, why do I want to be depressed right now?
Well, you say that, but like one of the greatest ones was The Shield, and that got dark.
It got
Not
dark,
like-
but because it was a weekly thing, I had lightness in between.
Yeah. Oh, so you saw The Shield.
Yeah, I saw The Shield, but it's like because
Harry's Harry.
yeah, but it's like I with really dark shows, I have to have time in between because I will just get depressed.
Yeah.
So it's like it's kind of like the same reason why I'm like apparently one of the few straight females I know that doesn't listen to like the murder mystery podcasts because I don't like them.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like I refuse to be black-pilled, mother effer. I will be white-pilled until the day I die. You're not going to make me paranoid of every human being that I come within 5 feet of. One, because I live in a state that actually lets me carry a gun. But that's like, I'm not going to be afraid. Screw you. You're not doing this to me.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just... just for anyone in the audience who may be playing a game called Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, I'm going to tell you something now that will save you a lot of heartache and pain later.
Sex?
No.
Oh, okay.
There is a point in the beginning of the game when you're going from Act 1 to Act 2. It gives you a warning that states you're going to be stuck in this situation for a little bit. There's a part that comes during that part of the storyline where you have to stealth. There is no choice. You must do stealth. And if you haven't built up your stealth score, you are screwed. And it's a nightmare. So before you go to that part, go wander around, get your stealth skill up, and then go do the rest of the game. Because I nearly punched my TV trying to get through that frickin' part of that game. Fucker! Because that made me mad. Apparently, there's a lot of people calling for whoever it was that approved that section of the game for them to get fired. Because there's a lot of fans mad. They're mad. God, they're mad. But yeah, so I'm like, I'm just giving a heads up. If you're gonna play that game,
so fucking entitled.
Okay.
yeah, I'm just giving a heads up. It's like, no, functional. Like, no, it's stupid. Like, it's
No, I get that, but I mean, come on, dude. We come from the generation of like Battletoads and Double Dragon and other games that were nearly impossible to beat.
yeah, but those.
We didn't spurg out on the creators of these games. Like,
Well, okay, but here's the thing, though, is that what it does is it literally, the character you play, it literally beats the character to a pulp where you lose all of your items, you don't have any healing potions, and you lose your carrying capacity.
okay.
But part of the story is you have to get your stuff back. So if you don't know that's going to happen, you have all of your, because it's a medieval video game. So you have
Right.
armors, weapons, all that kind of stuff. And if you're really unlucky, some people apparently had their horse's saddle on them in their inventory, which is also a heavy weight. So your carrying capacity is made to 1/3 of what it used to be. And you are encumbered and you have to stealth and you can't make noise. But if you're encumbered, you make more noise. And then there's a part of it where literally the AI for your enemies can see you. And I say this as someone who
I get it.
It's storming, it's nighttime, and they have torches in a forest, and they still have the capability to see you when you're crouching in a bush. I don't care, Harry. I'm going to get mad. So
it's basically really bad game design.
Yeah, that's the reason why people are like, you all need to fix this and fuck off. So that's the reason why the fans are pissed. It's like, it's fine.
I get it. The bug is,
yeah, it's a long part too. It's like a 30-minute section that you cannot skip.
Okay. Good public, what are those?
Yeah,
PSA,
since we have gamers.
Public service announcement.
Sorry,
Yeah.
continue on.
So, Skep, would you do the honors, please?
Will do. Happy to do it.
Because I don't have the voice for it. I was going to do it, but I'm like, no, I don't have the voice for it.
Oh, it's so nice when people show up and actually come to pay attention to us.
Gibbering gibbons.
in chat. In chat. As I go back through, I see that Raymond Lewis was first in tonight. Huh?
Welcome.
Welcome. And let's see, Green Badger's here this evening. Looking down through, Raymond Lewis has been posting a lot. So is someone named Sora Luna. Assassin's here. Hey, how you doing, Assassin? Good to see you, buddy. And
he posted the link to the show. Thank you.
And thank you very much. Thank you for sharing that out. And Kefki is here. Hey, Kefki, what's going on? Hugs for Kefki.
Oh, I have a thing I have to show next if Kefki's here. Kefki, don't leave. Okay, I have to show you something, Kefki. Let's see.
Don't make a tree like a tree and leaf.
No, Kefki, just don't leave yet. Okay.
As I said, don't make like a tree and leaf.
In-N-Out Burger headed to this southern city. So not only can you go to Interstate
Nashville.
Barbecue, Kefki, but they're going to have an In-N-Out Burger there too. And they're actually opening a number of them in just the South in general. So 10 to 15 stores in the Nashville area, Clarksville, Cookeville, Jackson, Memphis, Chattanooga, Knoxville, Morristown, and the Tri-Cities area. Tennessee, I guess Texas already has 43 In-N-Out burgers. So you'll be getting my favorite burger place, Kefki. So one of my favorite barbecue places and one of my favorite burger places are both coming to your backyard. So
I want to know what the Tennessee governor had to do to make In-N-Out Burger come there, because that's impressive.
well, the way they work with their sort of supply lines, they probably had to set up all of that stuff because obviously they're not going to ship it from California. So they had to get all these pieces in place for the supply chain that meets their standards before they could start opening these restaurants. And once they do that, they might as well open a bunch of them.
No, I agree. It's one of those things where it's kind of like, all right, who had to kiss whose ass and do other things that may not be PC to say on the internet to get these people to your state?
Yeah, I don't think In-N-Out Burger is involved in like payoffs and graft and corruption. I think they just make decent burgers. But I've already been told that I'm very naive. Maybe
the burgers gonna get you.
Yeah, I was explaining. I've explained this to imaginary girlfriend a few times that every time I drive by an In-N-Out Burger, I do a mental calculation of how guilty I'll feel if I stop at one. So it's like, you're gonna stop at the one in Morgan Hill? Nope, just made it by. Just keep going.
Yeah,
I'm stop in Gilroy? Nope.
I have to drive within seeing distance of two of them when I make there's a routine drive I have to make about once or twice a month, and I pass by two In-N-Out burgers that it's just as easy just getting off the freeway, and 3,000 calories later get back on the freeway.
It's not quite that many calories unless you do the shake and the fries with the sauce, and I mean it's not that bad, but yeah, you got to brace yourself. It's if it's an extra meal, you're definitely in bad territory. But I don't crave hamburgers all the time, but there's just something about an In-N-Out Burger that the siren song keeps trying to get my car to crash. Yeah, I just want to crash my car on the rocks. Yeah.
That's a hamburger you're going to enjoy.
And it's just no messing around. It's just like, here, a good, clean, simple burger without any crap on it. That's just
and an appropriate amount of grease. Not too
Yeah.
much, not too little. It's just perfect.
Yeah, the meat's
They really do
good,
make
the
it.
lettuce is good, the tomato is
yeah.
good.
already making me hungry.
Everything is just good.
I
There's a
like the
reason why
sauce,
Anthony
too.
Bourdain likes it too.
I get animal style on the fries. You know.
I actually usually will skip the fries and the shakes and stuff because my standard for shakes is really high. I can't think of a single fast food place that makes a shake that's worth the calories for my taste. I could just be weird. But
No, that's the proper way to think about milkshakes. I also am a milkshake connoisseur, and I love milkshakes. I love a good vanilla milkshake. It's got to be almost gourmet. I'm such a snob about it at this point.
my grandmother, although she was kind of a terrible person in a lot of ways, she was be very nice to me when I was a little kid. And I remember coming home from school, and it'd be a hot day, and she'd say, "Hey, you want a milkshake?" And I go, "Yeah, I want a milkshake." And so she would get out some Dreyer's vanilla ice cream, and then she put it in the pitcher for the blender, and she'd throw a little bit of ice in, and then she'd pour honey, and then a very generous amount of vanilla, and then milk, and then just blend that up.
Yeah,
And
babe.
it's like if it's not, it was just that weird hit of all that honey and that vanilla that I remember as a kid growing up. And then I taste anything that isn't like really good just doesn't get my attention now.
Right.
Like Peninsula Creamery is like an old style fountain place where you can go and just get the greasy patty melt of your dreams. It's fantastic. It's in Palo Alto. They make amazing. That's like, I want a milkshake on my birthday milkshake. I don't waste my time with fast food milkshakes typically. People talk about Sonic. It's like, okay, yeah, that's great.
Let me tell you what's good is when your wife makes ice cream, vanilla ice cream from scratch.
Yep.
It hand cranked that I crank, and then you make a milkshake from that.
Yeah, that burns all the calories off, by the way. If you make it
Yeah.
with the hand crank, it totally doesn't count.
Oh, so it evens itself out.
It absolutely evens
Sure.
itself out. Like if I walk to the donut place,
Absolutely.
it absolutely doesn't count.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's totally how that works.
I agree with that. No, I agree. If you're
Zach?
walking,
Yeah.
like after we had Costco hot dogs and fries after the opening ceremonies, and we had to walk to where I parked the car, and that canceled itself out.
Yep.
I 100% agree with that.
Also, I don't know who told you that Sonic's milkshakes are really good. They're full of crap.
No, they
They're
are
known for
full of
their
crap.
No,
They're
they're garbage. They're
their
garbage.
slushes are where it's at Sonic.
Yeah.
Their slushes.
Yeah. Also, their limeade.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of their limeade.
Their cherry limeade slush is awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I just drink unsweetened iced tea. I would make a terrible Southerner. I'm
Yes,
just
you
like,
would.
do not feed me
You're too
hummingbird
Californian.
cake. It's
You're
just no.
way too Californian.
Just turn into a pillar of sugar. You know, it's
Exactly. We have a
almost
place
biblical.
here called Cookout,
Yeah.
and they have like a really long list of milkshakes, and you can partner any of the flavors with each other.
yeah.
My friend
Yeah.
likes to get peanut butter chocolate banana,
Oh,
and so
sounds good.
that's the milkshake that I consider really good around here, and they are really good. But that's up to you. You just made Kefki hurt.
I know-
there was a place that used to do like old fashioned burgers that unfortunately
Yes.
closed down years ago. And they had the whole retro diner 50s style
Yes.
to them. It was like mom and pop place. And their milkshakes are so good. I always got cherry chocolate and added malt to it.
Ooh, nice.
Delicious. Very good.
Harry, you've made Kefki sad. Well,
I'm
you made
sorry.
Kefki a little bit angry with your unsweetened tea.
I too also like unsweetened iced tea.
There-
Kefki. Sorry, it's a West Coast thing.
Yeah, Kefki, you have to remember these are like Northerners. They don't get it. They don't get it.
So I have when I was growing up,
Kefki, I love sweet.
my grandmother used to make sweet tea for me. She'd make a pot of tea in the morning, and then she would use the same tea leaves to make another thing of tea that she would then pour into this plastic pitcher full of BPAs. I mean, all of the terrible things, right? And then she
Gives
would
it flavor.
put in a half a cup of sugar into a quart pitcher.
Nope,
Okay.
that's not how you do it. You can't do it like that.
My
Can't do it
grandmother
like that.
spent enough time in the South. I think she's qualified to make her version of this stuff. She knew this. She learned this stuff being a Navy wife, and so she would make sweet tea. And I used to drink that stuff all the time when I was a kid. And it was only when I became kind of a young adult that I like weaned myself off of this. And I'm like, because it's just like you cannot keep drinking all of the sugar until you're dead. This is just a bad idea.
The hell I can't.
Yeah. So this is the stuff that they put in milkshakes typically at your fast food places. It's a shake base. They pour it into a big machine, and it gets kind of like soft serve ice cream that they pour into a shake thing. It's not. It's not real food. It's just. It's like a McDonald's shake is really like the kind of thing an RFK Jr. would go railing about. It's just not good. So if I'm gonna poison myself with a milkshake, I'm gonna have like really good ice cream, milk, vanilla. I'm gonna do it properly. I'm an elitist about milkshakes, but Skep, you agree with me, right?
I absolutely do agree with you.
Okay.
Absolutely do agree.
So let's talk about the thing in the thumbnail. We're running way late because Harry has lost the ability to maintain any kind of discipline of himself or anybody else here tonight. Okay. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but there's the Space Launch System, which is being put together by Boeing, and it's using a lot of leftover space shuttle supplies. That's why that big tank in the middle has the orange foam. It's basically like, let's take the space shuttle and turn it into something that looks more like a Delta rocket. And that's what the SLS is, but it's cost many billions of dollars to launch one of these damn things. So they're thinking it's going to be on the chopping block. So much so that the head of Boeing had to give a WARN Act notice where he gave a 6-minute scripted speech with no questions and said, yeah, there's a pretty good chance the government is going to cancel the SLS program, and
It's going to happen.
and you guys are not going to have a job.
That's going to happen.
I think it's almost inevitable, but
Yeah.
There's studies that have been done where they've looked at, well, could we basically take the Orion capsule and put it on top of either the New Glenn or on top of a Falcon Heavy?
A Falcon Heavy.
And what's required for that is an adapter ring that essentially interfaces the Orion interfaces with whatever rocket it's put on top of.
It's a problem waiting for nothing but money to solve it.
And it's a very doable problem.
Very doable, very solvable.
Yeah, and in fact, if you just want to fly around the back of the moon, they've said, yeah, we'll just modify a Dragon capsule for you, and if that's all you want to do, here you
can
go.
hang in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While you work out the details with the lander and all this other stuff. I don't know, the idea that we're going to spend a whole lot of money to essentially do a reunion tour with the moon.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel very emotionally satisfying to me.
And the other thing that I'm afraid they're going to lose sight of is the very real hazards that you face out there. There's a feeling that, that exploring the moon, because we've been there and we did it so long ago, it's got to be better now. It's got to be safer now. We haven't lost anybody horribly on the moon. That's going to happen. When that happens, that will really set things back, I think.
Well, it shouldn't just be a publicity stunt. You shouldn't be sending school teachers and have a lottery where we just send Joe Schmo there.
Or if you send someone who walks in history, who is the first non-binary astronaut on the moon. They walk in history.
Yeah.
And they somehow managed to get their giant head and their giant hair inside their spacesuit, and they're walking around and they keel over dead.
Well, let me tell you about what's happening in Europe, similar to this story right here. So Europe's got sort of the same problem. Europe has the worst imaginable idea to counter SpaceX's launch dominance. Yeah, so you would think they want to have their independence. Europe is, very proud about these sorts of things. They don't want to depend on anybody else for their ability to put things into space, of course, because they want their own global positioning satellites and all these other things that are completely independent, even from the United States, right? So that's very important to them that they have their independent thing. The problem is that they're really sucking badly. I mean, even compared to the SLS, the whole Ariane 6 thing is just not going particularly well. So they've decided that what they're going to do is they're going to get a bunch of bankers together and ask them for advice on how to sort of modernize this thing. Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah, yeah.
First, get a committee together and study it.
Yeah. However, the approach being pursued by Airbus, a European aerospace corporation that is on a basic level akin to Boeing, seems like the dumbest idea imaginable. According to Bloomberg, Airbus has hired Goldman Sachs Group Incorporated for advice on an effort to forge a new European space and satellite company that can better compete with Elon Musk's dominant SpaceX. Yeah. We're having trouble competing with SpaceX. Why don't we have Goldman Sachs come in and give us some advice on how we can do this? The publication reports that talks are preliminary and includes French-based Thales and Italy's Leonardo SPA to create a portfolio of space services. Leonardo has hired Bank of America for the plan, which has been dubbed Project Bromo. Yeah. European companies have struggled to catch up to the commercial space industry that has been developed in the United States over the last 15 years, which has been led by SpaceX, but also includes dozens of other players. Yeah, this sounds pretty terrible.
It's just money.
Yeah, it's just
the
money.
The United States plays better, so we're more likely to get the scientists that do this kind of stuff than Europe, because the standard of living is lower in Europe, but they're unwilling to pay competitive pricing because of how things are. It's the reason why there's so few like major companies that are world players out of Europe, and most of them come from the United States or Canada or something like that, or they come from East Asia, is because there is in East Asia it's because of the standard of you are loyal to the company, but here it's because we're going to pay you six figures. When you compare it to the salaries comparable rank to salary in Europe, they get paid like almost half in some cases of what some of our people here in the United States and Canada and stuff get paid.
Well, now that the American money spigot has been turned off, like they're going to even have an even harder time getting space programs funded.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the problem, is that I don't think they've quite. It's the issue with the fact that they think that this. I do think some countries, because a lot of countries are now trying to pull a bunch of work from home Americans into their countries because they hope they're going to spend more money because they make more money. But the issue is that, one, with work from home, especially with government employees getting turned down, or getting made smaller in some cases with some companies, not just the government. There's also the fact that I being able to walk in an old city, while nice, is not something that I consider actually wantable by a lot of people, unless you're making more money than everyone you're surrounded by.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's the issue that a lot of the countries and major cities in Europe have run into. Even Mexico City's starting to run into it, where you have Americans bringing American paychecks to places that the average income is a third of that. And now they're buying the bigger places. So then the restaurants and all the apartment complexes are now trying to go for them, because now they know they can charge more because it's still less than what the Americans would pay if they wanted to live in New York City or something like that. Yeah. So it's this whole thing, and now it's going to be interesting to see how many. And it's not that I want it to, because they've relied on it for so many years, and I'm sad for the people who are going to get screwed by it. It is going to be interesting to see how many more of the nationalized healthcare systems in Europe are going to start imploding, because England's has already started to implode. It's been imploding for the last 5 years. Germany's apparently having problems. France is having problems. Italy's having major problems. And it's now that the spigot's gone, as Functional very eloquently put it, and I'm not being sarcastic, even though it sounds like it, it's going to be interesting to see, because Europe's the one that's going to get hurt by it, not East Asia, because East Asia has their own things. The Middle East isn't going to get hurt, because as long as they have oil, they'll be fine. Africa has its own shit to deal with. South America has its own shit to deal with. Europe's the only thing that's going to get screwed, and not in the fun way.
Yeah, I was looking at the chat, and Assassin, you're sort of right about the whole Boeing. They said they have to pull so much dirty political crap with their rocket program instead of building a better rocket than SpaceX. I really do want to see the New Glenn be successful. I want to see there be competition. The thing is that it isn't just about the salaries. I think, and I think Skep will back me up here, if you look at America in the 20th century, we are just better at solving problems. Full stop. Yeah. There's, we rebuilt Japan. We sent Deming over there to help them rebuild Japan. That was a very nice gift we sent them when we sent Deming over there to give them like some know-how that they turned into Kanban and all the other stuff that they did.
Well,
But-
they've done studies to show like how like efficient different countries are in like workforces. And America is the top of it. We beat Japan by a mile, and they're the next one on the list, if I remember right. Like, we are considered more efficient than everyone else.
Well, we're less hidebound by stupidity than a lot of other countries. So let me give you an example. I'm going to say something about World War II and tanks, and now everybody's going to tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. In the broad outlines, I'm not full of shit, so I apologize for getting the details wrong. But the Führer basically wanted big, heavy, nasty tanks, right? So they built these big old Panzers that when they broke, they were almost impossible to do any servicing on in the field. There was an impressive piece of engineering, but it was just like, what do you do with this thing when it breaks down, when you have a problem? Whereas the American tanks, the whole transmission assembly and a bunch of stuff was modular. You could literally bolt and unbolt this thing right off a Sherman tank.
And when they get stuck too, not just broken down, they were more easily unstuck.
Yeah, and that's just the way America does engineering. Elon Musk is channeling his inner Howard Hughes. And yeah, sometimes it looks a little crazy and you wonder what the hell's going on, right? You know, he's just a few months away from stirring bottles of his own urine in jars and living in a penthouse in New York, in Las Vegas.
He's already doing it.
But he is channeling his inner Howard Hughes, and it's that whole maverick American businessman thing that he's embraced.
Yeah,
and he's doing a good job with it. And his successes are far more numerous than his failures.
I've got a question for you, Harry.
Sure.
And it's something I go back and forth with Elon. I think he's actually a very, very bright man who takes risks at the right time. Do you think he has a distinctive competency for identifying misperceived risks, being able to more accurately perceive risks than other people, simply by dint of his being better able to think risk through?
No.
Is that the secret to his success, or what is it?
Well, no in the sense that I think there are a lot of people in the U.S. I mean, I know he's not originally from the U.S., but he's embraced U.S. culture, who have exactly the same skill set and maybe even are better in terms of their ability to apply it than Elon Musk. He just happened to be one of the right people in the right place at the right time. If something had happened to Elon Musk, the same things would have ended up happening. It would have just been somebody else who did it. I think that in terms of the timeline, it's almost a foregone conclusion that Elon Musk would have shown up and done the same thing. His skills are not really that much different than any good engineer who also has an inclination toward business, of which there are many in this country. We have a lot of talent, and a lot of it's just right place, right time. I mean, a lot of people started, had some backing and started companies involved in online payment things and have parlayed it into all sorts of other things, right? Elon Musk, I don't think I'm not trying to diminish the guy's accomplishments and say that they're a dime a dozen, but I don't think he's in any way unique. I think America produces people like him on a regular basis. It was just his turn.
Yeah, that's sort of where I was going with it. I don't think there's anything amazing and mystical and one of a kind about Elon Musk. I think he's bright, but I think I've known people as bright as him. Might be talking to one right now, and he doesn't impress me as being that scary kind of intelligence that you can just see, where they're so intelligent and handicaps them. He has a great ability to maintain his perspective, even while being brilliant, and that's a hard thing to do.
You met Edward Teller as a kid.
I knew I liked you for some reason.
No, but hold on, Functional. But you met Edward Teller as a kid, so
yes.
So your barometer, may be a little bit different than everybody else. Go, Functional.
I was just making a joke.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to take an allergy pill while you make a joke.
So do you guys know about big balls?
Oh yeah.
And so I did some digging into
It's
why
just
this
gen-
kid
it's just genetics.
is why he that too, Skep. Like what is his story? Like obviously he's, you know, a very young man. He's only 20 years old, but he's accomplished some big feats in his already young age. And just watching and learning about him, I'm like, God damn, this guy sounds like a lot like Harry. He's got like this 8-computer monstrosity in his little tiny dorm room that he's like making all these calculations and
Functional.
programming
That's
these
the
heuristic
first thing.
algorithms. And
That's
I'm
the
like,
first. That's the first thing I thought was, this guy probably even looks like Harry.
I want to talk about Elon Musk. I don't want to talk about Harry. So I
was talking about big balls.
Well, I have a thought about a follow-up to the question that Skep asked, which is what makes Elon different? There are a lot of engineers who can build a Pew matrix and find things. There's a lot of engineers who can embrace sort of a rapid prototyping or a waterfall design or different methodologies, right? There aren't a lot of engineers who see, so unlike Bill Gates, who only had a head for business, Elon Musk understands business well enough. He has a head, he has an engineering bent. He solves problems like an engineer in the best way possible. But I think he's also has very low neuroticism for somebody like him. So he's high functioning, lower neuroticism than most people like that. And he also has a broad enough skill set that he can do a lot of things independently. He can call on other people, but he has a really good skill stack for the kind of thing that he's doing. But by no way is he unique. But we should talk about other things too. Oh, go!
I
Serenity.
was about to say, I think we may have a little reflection of something that happened a few shows ago. But
Okay.
What exactly? How do I say this? Why do you all think that? Because when I look at him and how he acts, I get the hint that he is on the spectrum, as we all know. But I can smell the ego through the TV. And I don't and I'm just trying to figure out, because to me, he's just a little bit like, he's got a lot of the same tendencies as George Lucas in the fact that he's very good at hiring people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he does as much as everyone thinks he does. I'm not saying he's stupid. He's not. He's very intelligent. But what I'm saying is that I think, well, credit should be given where credit is due, and he should be given respect for what he's built. At the same time, that wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the fact that he originally hired people, and then those people he hired then hired the right people.
Yeah, he had to do a lot of things right, including the thing you're talking about. But I think
there was a lot of luck involved too, because he's had.
Well, you notice I said there are a lot of people just like him, and he was just the right person in the right place at the right time. Luck has a huge amount to do with this. That's why it's Elon and not somebody else. Now, in terms of ego, yeah, his ego is getting fluffed on a pretty regular basis. So he's definitely going to have to keep that in check, or it's going to be a problem. I mean, he's losing that battle, but setting that aside, I've seen interviews with him where he's talking to somebody and somebody will present him with a problem, and you can see the wheels turning in his head as he sort of thinks about it, and he talks out loud as he's discussing the problem. That is not something you can fake. He is, as an engineer, the real deal. He's not just an empty suit who hires the right people. When I see Bill Gates do something like that, I don't get the same impression at all. I don't see the wheels turning in his head, and I don't see him functioning as an engineer. Elon Musk is an engineer by disposition. That's what I mean.
And I can understand that. At the same time, I think it's also a very easy thing to fake, considering that most news organizations send you the questions beforehand.
No, I don't think you can fake it. I mean, the things that I've seen where somebody's just having a conversation with him, I didn't get the impression that it was a setup. He does seem like he does problem solving on the fly, and he clearly thinks like an engineer.
Yeah.
Just my impression.
I think that the first thing that gave me that impression, Harry, was his appearance on Rogan, his first appearance on Rogan, where he's literally sitting. You can see him thinking as, Joe's looking at him, going, well, what about this, and this, and he's thinking, he's going, yeah, because if this happens, then we go to C, but C really needs really need to implement B before C happens, and you're like, okay, that to me shows that he's at least got the right mindset.
Mm-hmm.
His brain works the right way to solve problems like that.
Yeah. Well, let me segue to the next thing because we're so far behind schedule. And there is actually a few things I want to talk about. We may not get to the Canadian thing until next week. I apologize, Functional.
Oh, don't worry. We're still going to be here.
Okay.
Maybe.
So Trump, since Trump and Musk are buddies, he's told Elon to get the astronauts from Boeing back to Earth as soon as possible.
Yeah, just get it.
It's just
Oh,
like,
boy.
will you just bring these people home? And it's like, I'm not sure they can really accelerate the schedule, but the guy in charge is realize, because Trump has said, I think it's terrible that they just left those people up there like that.
It's going to bump it. They're going to bump it up by about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
With the Dragon.
Let's bring them home.
Yeah.
Let's bring them home. Butch and
Yeah,
Sunita.
because with all the data calculations and blah 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 blah, we're looking at end of March, beginning of April. Again, that's the window. They obviously have to wait a little bit closer to weather patterns.
No, it'll be about March 15th. They just announced that today.
They did.
Yeah. Good job.
It's going to be about halfway through March.
All right.
Awesome.
So that's a thing. And I saw, I mean, why not when we're talking about space? Just one quick Hubble picture. An extraordinary celestial spiral. Look at this thing. I love this thing.
Is this the Jupiter thing?
No, this is let's see, I can't say what's going on here. Preplanetary nebula known as Iris, numbered around the star El Pegasi in the constellation of Pegasus, the winged horse. This striking picture shows what appears to be a spiral pattern of astonishing regularity winding around the star, which itself is hidden behind thick dust. The spiral pattern suggests a regular periodic origin for the nebula's shape. The material forming the spiral is moving outwards at a speed of 50,000 kilometers an hour, and by combining the speed with the distance between layers, astronomers calculate that the shells are separated by about 800 years. So,
Wow.
Christ.
look at this thing. Look at
Fun.
this.
That-
I've never seen anything quite like that in
No,
space.
me either. And I've looked through a lot of expensive telescopes.
Yeah.
As has Harry,
So
and
cool.
that is absolutely stunning. I'm so glad I got
That's I guess ran across that and I'm like, that is really cool. I mean, it's
That
not
is
as mind blowing as the fact that there's hexagons at the borders of at the poles of
at the poles of Jupiter and Saturn.
Jupiter and Saturn and Neptune. It's like, what the hell is there? Why is there a hexagon there? What? Okay, but that's a conversation for another time.
Yeah.
Hexagons.
Theories about the hexagons are pretty interesting.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of this stuff about USAID, and we could go over it, but I think everybody's pretty well acquainted with the list of stuff, right?
It's this big, gigantic cash pump, for lefty NGOs. That's what it's always been.
And the fact that they're dismantling it is pretty great.
That's pretty extraordinary. I love who it's pissing off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was
All the
looking
right
through
people.
this reason thing, and all this one article is doing is going through the chain of how the money got from USAID to the Wuhan lab.
To the Wuhan lab. Fauci unleashed a virus on the world. That guy belongs in jail. Seriously. He was that irresponsible.
Yeah, but I mean, we don't have to rehash all of it just in the interest of time, but this whole
Well,
Eco
sorry
Health
about
Alliance thing, I was thinking about a lot of this. Trump was in office, right? And a lot of chicanery was going on with USAID while Trump was in office.
Mm-hmm.
He had 4 years to be out and think about every single thing that he did wrong or he wished he'd done differently, and has now sort of hit the ground running. And he's got allies that he can rely on to do this stuff. I'm surprised. Marco Rubio, little Marco. Hey, man, little Marco's doing a good job.
Marco just wants to be part of he just wants to be included with the big kids. That's all that guy has ever
He doesn't want to be
wanted.
Bobby Fischer anymore. He wants to be Dino.
Yes, exactly.
Because-
Wants to bark too. He's like a little chihuahua. He just wants to bark with the big boys.
But little Marco doing a pretty good job overall. But I mean, I mean, we've all seen something in the list, right? There's just 1,000,001 things that the USAID was spending money on that they probably shouldn't have been. Just absolutely insane, all of the money that they were spending on various random things that make no sense. Yeah, just crazy. So we don't have to go through all of that stuff. And other people have already done a good job, but this reason thing is actually pretty good. I should put this in the chat because this is actually a good read.
You know, but $2 million to study Ecuadorian transsexual dances. No.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if they're
Well, no.
historical, I mean, shouldn't they at least be categorized
No.
by a country that has the capability to keep them?
It was researched to see if there were any.
Okay.
If there ever were any. And it was it's just stupidity.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like if they were a historical thing and Ecuador isn't keeping them up, shouldn't someone try to keep the historical record of something?
Yeah, but I'm what they were doing was going to, you know, very, very undeveloped tribes of people and looking for transsexualism.
Yeah. There's just all
And
of the
not finding any.
well, they were transing mice and then checking their behavior. They're doing all kinds of stuff. But I mean, we've got the what is it? The 7.9 million to teach Sri Lankan journalists how to avoid binary gendered language. 20 million for Sesame Street show in Iraq. 10 million for funded meals. The bunch of went to Al Qaeda. 25 million for Deloitte to promote green transportation in Georgia, Soviet Georgia. 16.8 million for a separate inclusion group in Vietnam. 20 million for a group related to key players in the Russiagate impeachment hoax. It just goes on and on and on and on.
Yeah, and I understand that. It's just there's some stuff that isn't bad, but this is government always been this way. This is Trump's not going to change this.
No.
And it's like I understand that we need to save money, and I get that, and there are certain things that need to go away, but at the same time, taking away everything also stops the jumping off points for other things to occur that can be a chain reaction that leads to other information. I understand what you're talking about with the mice, Harry, but at the same time, we've always tested stuff on mice. And mice are the jumping off point for us to test other stuff, and it could give us ideas into the transgenderism and physicality and all that kind of stuff. So, like, I do agree that the stupid stuff needs to go away, but at the same time, there's some stuff that I don't want to see, especially historical stuff, go the way of the dodo because people want to pinch pennies all of a sudden
Well, yeah.
with stuff.
Well, let me give you a very serious answer to your very serious question. Okay. There was a book that I read a long time ago called Third Generation R&D. And you essentially look at the money that you have to spend on research and development as a portfolio of investments. So you only have, because money, of course, is finite, right? So what are you going to spend money on for your research sort of stuff? And so you really want to take a percentage of it and put it into the pure research, don't know if it's going to pan out, pie in the sky, just everything, you know, the mucosity of banana slug slime, you know, just all of these things that may or may not be like save mankind someday. You just don't know what's going to happen, right? And then you have other stuff that sort of goes into your development where you say, this seems like a promising thing. We're hoping to achieve some kind of result. And so you put a certain amount of money into that. And then there's just sort of like the day-to-day operational stuff, like these people are going to starve if we don't give them wheat. So you have to look at what that whole portfolio is. And so I don't want to see them get rid of basic research stuff either. Like certainly historical preservation of things that once they're gone forever. You could make a pretty good grant proposal around that, right? And I would like to see that get funded. But what's clearly happened, if you look at a lot of these line items, is they knew how to get money for these things. So when they wrote their grants proposal, they said, how can we DEI or trans this proposal? So they would take what might have been pretty good research and then they spun it into something that had a hook so they could get their hands into the different pots of money. There's people that you can actually hire to help you write grant proposals.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because they just figure out, well, what are the funding priorities?
My first ex-wife that is what she ended up doing for a living and made a great living. She has a PhD, or a doctorate. Yeah, it's a doctorate in some kind of administrative proposal writing, grant proposal writing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what she did, and became very successful with it. She was a journalist with a master's degree in journalism who could not write her way out of a paper bag, and she found success as a author of grant proposals.
Well, and my issue with it is, instead of shuttering the entire thing, is to change out whatever it is that does the approval of stuff and do it that way, because the US aid also gave a lot of money to help fight AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria in a lot of other countries. So it's a lot of money, and that's like one of the lion's share of what they do. And it's like, I'm not saying that they still won't get aid from us, but shuttering this delays that. And what ramifications could that have on those people, that it's an actual needed thing for those diseases in third world countries that don't have the capital, or are always war torn and don't have the money to do that kind of stuff because their leadership in fights, or France is manipulating the infight or something, whatever. And that's my issue. Like, the stupid shit needs to go away, but when you take away everything, including the good stuff, you kind of are almost cutting your nose to spite your face.
Yeah, I don't think it's permanent.
I don't think it is either, but I think some people think it is. That's my issue.
I don't think it's permanent. In fact, it's probably going to go through the courts, and they're going to have to decide, okay, so of the things that got earmarked by Congress, because sometimes there's earmarks for particular projects, right? And then the money goes through USAID. Trump may not have the option of shutting down some of that stuff, of these weird sort of fringy $1 million here, $1 million there sort of grant proposals. Those aren't going to be line items in the federal budget necessarily. God, I hope. Those things will probably be part of some giant slush fund. And since the people at USAID were actively working against the administration, they were really part of the swamp. You've got to just clean all that stuff out and start over. And I think Marco will hopefully do a good job, and will start shipping rice to people who need it really soon.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
It's like, clean the people out. That I agree with. Because that's a scorched earth kind of thing, where you're just going to have to get rid of all of them and redo it. It's just, I'm afraid there's going to be a lot of people. And yes, Assassin, I know that there's corruption in other countries and it went into their pockets. But if it has the chance of helping people, I care.
Well, we have to take these things on a case-by-case basis.
I know.
Right? So the thing is, there's no point you and Assassin disagreeing where we're not even sure which specific things we're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I agree. Well, Assassin and I disagree, too. It's fine.
Well, I mean, I was just saying, put a pin in it. Also, so I wanted to show you this while we're talking about that funding thing. So NIH announces new funding policy that rattles medical researchers. In a nutshell, what they're doing is when people put out these proposals to do research at universities and places like that, they say, I need this much money because we're going to hire this many staff. We need this much equipment. This is what it takes to basically operate this research thing. And then in addition to that, they say, well, since we're doing it at the university, we need to give a little something to the university because they're supplying all of the infrastructure that we rely upon, the sidewalks and the buildings and the ivy and all the things that we've come to love about being here or there. So essentially, maintaining the greater university becomes a tax on these sorts of things. Now, so I'll just read the thing. In the latest steps by the Trump administration affecting scientific research, the NIH says the agency is limiting funding for indirect costs to 15% of the grant, meaning of the money we give you, no more than 15% of it can go to painting the hallways. That's far below what many institutions have been getting to maintain buildings and equipment and pay support staff and other overhead expenses. For example, Harvard receives 68% and Yale gets 67%, according to the NIH. Now, roll that number around in your head for a moment. They're saying that we give you, a bunch of money to cure cancer, and then more than half of it is going to the administration and the salaries and painting the hallways and all this other stuff, and not helping do anything to actually cure cancer. That is an offensive number. 15 might be too small a number, but this is one of these things where it needs to just stop. That's just way too much overhead. I was actually shocked that it was that high. I'm guessing Skep probably isn't shocked. Have we lost
Not
Skep?
at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
That does seem really high, though, because even if you were talking about your world of government contracting, right? You establish a cost center, and then there's all sorts of things that you can charge back to that contract, including money that you spend getting additional work, right? So you can take the money that you spend bidding on additional government work and charge it back to an existing contract. The ultimate reach around.
I've actually done that. I have actually done that. I had to hire a C programmer for a project, and I incurred some costs in traveling to and talking with a couple of guys I wanted to interview for the thing, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers had no problem with that at all.
Yeah, but 68% is like that's ridiculous.
That's
It's like
that.
no. I mean, if I give you
man.
money to cure cancer, you better not use more than half of it to pay salaries for the administration's for the university administration.
No.
Because that's where the bulk of it goes is to like salaries.
Of course, what I had been hired for was because they could not make the 4 Fortran programmers they had on staff. They could not force them to retrain to write C and administer a Unix system. That's why I got that contract. That's why that contract was out. Was they couldn't force them to retrain. So these guys would come into work and they'd see me working like crazy, setting up databases and, administering their network and so forth. They had no interest in. All they were interested in doing was coming in, checking in, and heading out to play golf. That's what these guys did for 3 years while I was working there.
Yeah. Nice work if you can get it.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Don't know what their skill set was like. Never saw them write one of them write a line of code. Not one.
Yeah, well.
In 3 years.
All right. Well, let's see. What were we doing? You still with us, Sora?
I am back.
Sorry, I actually I hate to tell you this. I don't think I have any cute animals for you today.
It's okay.
Yeah. it's really just pretty meager. I don't have any cute animals. It's yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah,
I won't hold it against
What
you.
do you mean? I gave you that boar video.
Oh, I guess I do.
Considering some of her stances on poverty, she probably would have done that.
Does that make it up to you a little bit?
Yes, 100%.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Okay. Let me see if I can find this boar video. Let's see. Where are we?
Oh, God.
Oh, well, there's always my pet duck, Adam. Mm-hmm. That was great.
Adam.
Adam.
Oh, no.
Adam. No, I can't find it. Okay.
Just put it in the side chat.
All right.
I was amused.
Which can mean good or bad things for us.
Okay.
It's bad.
Is it? Okay.
This is excellent. I hope you get it to work.
Yeah, maybe it's just a snow Mexican thing, but like I was thoroughly amused.
This is phenomenal. This is my spirit animal. Get the fuck off my slopes.
Oh, is that the one where it's attacking the guys in Korea? Oh, no, it's Miyoko, so it's in Japan.
I like he goes for the snowboarders because everyone knows they
Nice.
suck.
Yeah, that's right.
They destroy your nice ski hill.
Yeah, absolutely,
They're
Sora. You're
screaming,
absolutely right. Good on you.
And by the way, they've got
True.
Quincy Jones from Big Band Bossa Nova playing in the background. I've got it turned down so we won't get copy struck. I like that boar. He knows what he's doing. He's like, hey.
I feel like he knows this guy and is purposefully attacking him. I want to know, what did you do to this boar earlier up that run?
Yeah, you know what he did.
little Mushi coming out of the snow. Harass the snowboarders. Good Mushi. Good Mushi.
So I've got a little something here for Skep. Let's see. Where did it go? Oh, okay. Skep, you like to fish, right? You seem like somebody who likes to fish.
That's all I think about.
Oh.
Oh wait, you can't hear it because
I was
I
about
had
to
that.
say we didn't hear anything, Harry. I was
Well,
sitting
I
there
heard it.
so
At least I
ins-
was amused.
Hey, bud. Hey, bud. Can I give you a little advice?
Sure.
If somebody's in a hole fishing it, it's a little bit rude to walk into the same hole and fish it.
Fuck you.
Hey, bud.
Damn right.
Time to drown the child.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. Good times. Well, I was also amused by this. This is from Aussie Man, but there's no commentary.
It's a big dog, mate.
Shove that camera up your ass. Stop fucking pointing it in my face.
I think you're hard to fuck with.
Oh, fuck you.
Go fuck yourself. What do you expect, mate? You're walking a fucking llama.
Hey, mate, go and get some fucking brains. There's a difference between a fucking alpaca and a dumb cunt like you. That's an alpaca, all right?
Yeah,
you
it's
look
an
like one you
alpaca.
fuck with.
Fuck off, you dumb fuck.
Look at
Yeah.
You know, I was actually thinking about the Australians and their lovely accent, and file this under patriarchy so crafty, but the guys actually sound okay. You know, like Russell Crowe. But
Well, he's also pulled his accent back a lot. If you see if you hear him when he was young in Australia, it was a lot thicker.
it was a lot thicker. So, so like here's an Australian accent. Right?
What about the opposition leader, Tony Abbott?
Why are we looking at Grumpy Cat? Why are Grumpy Cat? What is it? Rest in peace, Grumpy Cat. Rest in peace.
Old thing is, Grumpy Cat broke this guy.
Well, I mean, it would be
Now,
too.
politicians, the leader of the country
I've always
first. I'm going to
wondered
ask
what
you
the
whether or
original
not
animal he was
you
laughing
like
at was.
It's this.
Yeah, it's the original. Yeah,
the Prime Minister,
because that's
Kevin
the Today
Rudd.
Channel, Sora. That's the actual Today Channel for Australia.
What about the
I see
opposition
it.
leader, Tony Abbott?
He's having way too good a time. Way too good a time.
I mean, it sounds okay, you know, when the
No,
guys
it doesn't.
talk
No,
about it.
it
It's okay.
Nix.
A new study shows that the French accent is the most attractive. But what about the Aussie accent? Surely we're not that bad.
I jumped in my car and I started chasing him up the road, and then he
it's a
went down the
bogan.
side
Yep.
street, and then the police were coming, and I flashed them and sent them off in the direction.
By the way, he's wearing a t-shirt in some scene I've seen where it's actually a Ford Falcon t-shirt. So we
Nice.
know he's not a Holden Bogan, he's a Ford Falcon Hogan. I mean, Ford Falcon Bogan. I can't talk. No, but the Australian accent, I'm like, Margot Robbie's like, you know, kind of okay, right? And I was sort of comparing it and contrasting it with like the English accent, right? I mean,
I was in a play on Broadway in New
Well,
York.
Tom
and I
Hiddleston,
took my dog
goddamn.
with me, and obviously we have to walk.
The man could read the phone book.
a perfectly lovely accent, right?
Well, he's also posh as fuck.
He's also posh as fuck. Well, how about this? How about this English chick?
Only one, and not very well. I learned Elvish actually though when I was a kid.
You learned Elvish?
Lord of the Rings.
Nice way to go, girl.
from Elvish?
Gosh, Olor Malay I think is like something to do.
I mean, you've got that. And then you've got
very pretty.
Then you got the Scouse accent, probably, is what
you've
you're going to show is the Scouse accent.
yeah, I mean, but I kind of feel like the Australians really got cheated because throughout the Anglosphere, that whole now thing
Well,
is
they
is
always
a bit
sound like their
much.
tongue's too far back in their mouth.
Now.
No. Like, that's what they sound like.
Well-
They just pulled their tongue too far back.
Yes and no, because when they say next, they go next. It's like, No, next. I linked the video, the famous video of teaching an Australian to say no.
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 That is incorrect. It's no.
Oh, you mean that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Or whatever.
I like the one where he says how to talk to a feminist, and she starts talking, and he just goes, "Shut up."
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I was just thinking like the Australians really got shortchanged. That it's not the most attractive accent of all
the Kiwi accent's better than the Aussie accent.
Yeah, I think they all are.
Ugh.
You know, I try to listen to it, and it's a bit rough. The Australian accent, it's a bit rough. Hanging upside down will do that to you.
Apparently.
Show me on the doll where the Australian accent touched you. It right in the ear holes is where it touched me.
With a freaking ice pick, just dang.
Well, there was a picture of a sunfish, and that was from Skep, right? Mm-hmm. I wanted to comment on this.
Oh Lord.
Sunfish. Let me see if I can get this to load up.
Harry and his hatred for the sunfish.
Hey.
Oh yeah, the sunfish that got saved.
Yeah. So this guy spends 4 minutes trying to basically save this sunfish, and it's like the sunfish just sort of said, "Oh, well, I only know how to go straight." And there's this thing here. I guess I'm just going to die. I guess I'm just going to die right here.
Oh, poor baby. Look at his little fin.
Look at him.
Of the feet.
You know, and they spent all this time trying to turn him around. They put a rope around him. And then, oh, look, now he's pointed the right way. And the majestic sunfish swims off.
I love his comment at the end.
Yep.
Don't turn left.
Don't turn left.
He's still good and alive.
Yeah, it's like left, right, nope. Up, down, nope. Just forward. That's the only thing it's got. Forward.
Harry, we have to talk about your animosity toward a fish.
Well, as dumb as I thought they were after watching this video, I think they're even dumber.
No.
It's deficient. It can't fish good. I mean, it's just
it's found a way around that, though, where it's like, I can't fish good? Fuck you. I'm going to make 1 million damn babies, and you can't kill me. Here we go. Fuck you. Just backflip out the window.
Yeah, I'll give you an RK selection here. Have 30 million offspring. Sunfish. Jesus Christ.
We eat jellyfish. That's what we
let's see. Well, so
But,
this is...
you missed the fun. You missed the fun thing he says right at the end.
Yeah.
He says it's
don't turn
like
left.
watching a Roomba.
Yeah.
I mean, it is like watching a Roomba. It's like watching a giant fucking Roomba.
Trying to bounce off things while it's swimming straight.
Well, here's a quality thing from the Huffington Post. Bigorexia is on the rise. Here's what parents should know. So apparently the Huffington Post has decided that young men looking at themselves in the mirror, wishing that they were more swole and wanting to go to the gym, that somehow this is a problem that needs to be fixed.
No, okay, that's oversimplifying that, Harry.
Yeah, I did. I oversimplified the hell out of it. I distilled it to its critical essence.
No, it's a dysmorphic disorder where no matter how big you get, you don't think you're big enough.
Yeah, of course.
And that's the issue.
Because you gotta have gains.
Well, it's gains and it's all that kind of stuff. And you end up getting some of these guys who you see on social media who it literally looks like they can't even reach their own butt to wipe. Like, that's the problem, is that you get, and they take steroids and then they get hit hard by the steroids and it ends up hurting them. And
the weird injection stuff is what really scares me. These people who inject like hard matter into their, like, silicone into their muscles and stuff to make it look like they're going to bulk up. That's where I get scared.
A lot of them will get the equivalent of breast implants to make their pecs look bigger. They will starve themselves. They will dehydrate themselves to make the muscles look bigger because it pulls the skin back from it. Steroids done in a non-doctor prescribed way, which gives them a lot of issues and can cause bone deterioration, early onset osteoporosis.
Yeah, but they figure it's worth it, you know. And You know, you're dealing with somebody who does this stuff when you say, well, what about the steroids? They make your testicles shrink. And they go, not if you use the right ones. It's like, oh, okay, clearly
Yeah, that's
you've
when you know to
thought
walk
about this.
away from them and never listen to them again.
Not having this conversation. I just feel like this is probably not a super common problem. And I feel like this is another one of those things where women, liberal people, writers are glomming onto something like this so they can try to make a point about toxic masculinity.
It could, but it is on the rise because there's a lot of guys who are taking it too far on social media and they have a lot of followers who then do the same thing. And it's something that's been building for the last few years. But it's still a thing. You could be very much right. The writer could be that, but that doesn't mean they're wrong.
It's Caroline Bologna. Caroline Bologna right there. There she is.
But it's still a massively horrendously bad thing.
It is, but I don't expect it's too common is my thing.
Well, see, the what's good of them pointing something like this out is boys have always been left out of the eating disorder discussion.
Yeah, even though they have it
just
as much as girls do.
Yeah. And because of that it goes untreated for so long. So this is where I think this is a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a stupid name that I'm worried people will laugh at and dismiss because of that, but hopefully more discussions regarding.
I don't know. Is it as common? Honestly, I mean,
it doesn't have to be common. It's just it's not being discussed about. It was like all growing up in the 90s, definitely early 2000s into mid aughts and stuff. It was only eating disorder was only a girl thing.
Yeah.
And like when we talked about it in school, when you saw PSAs about it, about like talking about your self-esteem or self-worth based on your image, it was only ever targeted towards girls here, right?
Yeah.
So where that's a big lie. Everybody has problems, and eating disorders are a form of control that some people have placed on themselves to their detriment, right? So that can happen to anybody that eats.
Well, I mean, like Woody Harrelson, like more than 10 years ago, came out and talked about the fact that he had anorexia for the longest time.
There's a sport where men suffer from a lot of eating disorders. And, well, maybe one of you knows what it is. Do you know what it is? Which sport
Probably
it is?
Swimming.
Nope. Well, it might
Is it
be
the
true, but
bodybuilding, like Mr. Universe
nope,
or something like that.
climbing.
No, I can see that. Yeah.
Climbing. It's actually,
100%.
I remember back when I used to do this and hang out with climbers and be cool, that there was, that this was a problem that people would have because, getting rid of excess pounds makes climbing a lot easier, right? So you had it was one of the few things where young men actually had higher degrees of anorexia or higher rates of anorexia than the women.
Yeah.
Actually, women really did particularly well in climbing because it was just they had like a good ratio of sort of weight to muscle and bone and all that sort of stuff. And,
Well, it was
and
also-
some of the women climbers really are amazingly good.
What's like also, I think it's because our center of gravity's lower.
Yep.
So it makes it easier where guys, they have to work against their upper center of gravity, their center of gravity being higher, which makes it harder.
Yep.
But yeah, no, it's like, yeah, I've seen some stuff online on YouTube Shorts of guys who constantly talk about there's nothing wrong with wanting to be healthy and nothing wrong with wanting to put on muscle. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of this stuff where there's guys who are getting too big but keep talking about the fact that they need to be bigger, and they're on social media, and I've seen social media posts where they have thousands of comments and millions of likes. And that's the thing of like, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be healthy. There's nothing wrong with wanting to put muscle on, but some of them are taking this to such a cosmetically terrifying extreme, whether it involves surgery or not, that it's not a good thing.
But they take steroids. They take anabolic steroids too
Yeah, that's the other problem, and that causes, and antibiotic steroids have their own domino effect that causes a whole bunch of other issues too. On top of the fact that they are very a lot of the stuff, because I'm actually on the National Alliance of Eating Disorders because I wanted to see what their symptoms were, and it's like compulsive exercise, especially workouts that build muscles, such as lifting weights, restricting calories or categories of food, excessive consumption of protein, which can cause its own problems, preoccupations with body shape, body size, eating, and disordered relationship to exercise and food. And it talks about, it shares a lot of the characteristics as anorexia nervosa and bulimia nervosa, as well as obsessive compulsive disorder.
Yeah.
And it's just, she could be the writer of this article could be the most backhanded, terrible C word of a human being. But this is still something that needs to be talked about because, like Sora said, men have gotten ignored from a lot of the things that we've talked about with women having, like eating disorders, depression, and all that kind of stuff, where men just got ignored. And that's not fair to men. They deserve to be treated like human beings, which means we have to acknowledge the fact that they're not getting treated the right way. And bigorexia, and some of them have anorexias on top of that, needs to be acknowledged and needs to be talked about, because it's the only way we stand a chance of making the conversation more of a thing and being able to get these guys the help they need. Suicide too. Suicide just popped in my head. But it's like, and that's the thing, like, we need to talk about the suicide rate because they shouldn't be killing themselves. We need to talk about the eating disorders problems because they shouldn't have to go through, women shouldn't have to go through it. They shouldn't have to go through it. Everything like that. It's just, it needs to be talked about.
Well, men get crapped on a lot, right? You know,
Yeah.
it was not that long ago that, you know, TV commercial, the husband's always the idiot, right? You know, so
yeah, and I always hated that.
You know, the whole stale male and pale thing. What I don't think most women would like guys randomly showing up saying, "Hey, you know, smile, eat something. You know, you look like you might have anorexia or something," right? That amateurs sort of diagnosing something like that is annoying at best and potentially worse. I definitely don't want to see untrained professionals like high school vice principals going after some guy who literally, it's like he's not an academic achiever. Doesn't have like a rich family, whatever. What's the one knob that he can basically turn to bridge the gap with females his age or something? Go to the gym and get in shape. And I don't want to see those guys have a bunch of amateurs demonize those guys. If a doctor who's like a professional and there's actually guidelines and you're being diagnosed by a medical professional, that's fine. But I don't want this to become a cudgel that they can use against young boys just struggling to find some way to make something of themselves.
Which I understand and I agree with, but at the same time, jumping to the conclusion that it's going to be used as a cudgel to hurt them doesn't help things either.
It's one of those slippery slope things. It's like everybody says it's a slippery slope, except it always ends up being the slippery slope.
Yeah.
I kind of don't trust this as a tool for non-professionals to use. I think if you're not a professional, or you should probably not diagnose anybody as having bigorexia.
Well, no, and I don't think that's what the article's trying to do. I think it's just trying to make it so this way, like the articles that came out during the heroin chic era of Calvin Klein, to make you aware of the fact that, hey, there is this thing. It can be dangerous. Just stay in communication with the people in your life.
Yeah,
and that's basically what it needs to be. What needs to be talked about, and because I want more people, not just men, to go to the gym, to interact with people, to take classes, to talk to more people of varying things, because I think it helps everybody.
Yeah.
But when you start to get obsessive, that's when we're starting to get into the very, very dangerous zone of where unmitigated rage starts showing up because they're taking stuff they shouldn't, or because they don't like being questioned, because part of them has a problem with the fact that they don't feel adequate, but they don't want to voice the fact that they don't feel adequate. Because women with bulimia and anorexia do the exact same thing.
Sure.
And that's kind of the thing of like, I think if it helps people be aware, and as long as she doesn't get too bitchy in the article, I don't think it's a bad thing.
Well, it is the HuffPost, so you know it's
Well, I
not,
was about to
not
say,
going to be quality. It's not going to be quality journalism.
Yeah, but like I looked it up. Yahoo has an article on it. New York Times has one. MSN has one. Men's Health has one from 2022.
Yeah.
So it's something that a lot of them are trying to talk about, which needs to be talked about.
I think it's good to talk about it.
dangerous.
I just don't want it to become a cudgel to yet another cudgel to basically beat up young men and tell them that they're doing it wrong.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be. And it's more of just trying to get them to understand there's nothing wrong with wanting to have muscle, just as there's nothing wrong with wanting to lose a few pounds if you're female, or vice versa. It's when you take it to the point where you're working out 4 hours a day, you're overdoing protein, you're either thinking about taking anabolic steroids or are taking anabolic steroids, that's when you're going too far.
Yeah. Well, steroids are fun. I'm going to make a very, very abrupt turn in topic. Hey, Skep.
Do it.
Yes.
Did you know that you can embed JavaScript in PDF files? I'm so used to the old version of PDF back when I used to hand code PostScript that I actually wasn't aware of this. Well, because of that, somebody actually got a basic Linux environment running inside a PDF file. Essentially, they coded Linux using an emulator based on the JavaScript in the file and were able to get Linux to basically work inside a PDF.
That's interesting. So in terms of memory management, you load the PDF, then within the space allocated for work on the PDF, you're running an operating system.
I got Linux running in a PDF file with a RISC-V emulator compiled to JavaScript.
That is fucking weird.
So use JavaScript to emulate a RISC-V chip and then load a Linux kernel on top of it.
Okay, why?
Somebody has way, way, way too much time on their hands.
Why?
But it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool that it works.
It's cool. It's cool, and the the nerd part of me loves it. The practical engineer part of me says, "What?
It's going to take you minutes for a command prompt to come back after you hit carriage return. But hey, it works. as a technology proof of concept, this really amuses the shit out of me.
Yeah, that is there's got to be a lot of disk work involved.
Yeah. Well, here's another thing for everybody. It says basically from ZDNet, they're saying if you're not working on quantum safe encryption now, it's already too late. Yeah, it's actually already too late if you're not getting on board. So NIST, the National Institute of Standards, has put together a couple recommendations for new encryption algorithms that should be quantum safe. Meaning that when quantum computers are freely available and people can use them to break all the existing encryption, people are have already produced standards and reference implementations of encryption that should be resistant to quantum computers just ripping it apart.
I think what is quantum safe now will not be quantum safe for very long.
Well, and what's safe now without quantum? It's obviously. Security stuff is you're never really at the destination. It's just a journey.
Yeah, it's a total journey thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But there's 3 different standards that I found. I actually saved a PDF file of these things, and I was checking in OpenSSH and a bunch of other things. I had OpenSSL, don't have support for it yet. So nothing that I actually uses any of these algorithms, but that hopefully is going to change in the next major version of a lot of these things. The day of quantum computers making existing encryption useless are approaching very, very quickly.
Yes,
so you're going to see a lot of stuff change in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
And I think most people who have a clue are going to get out ahead of this stuff so that things stay fairly secure.
Might be an interesting industry to know something about who the players are. Might be some money to be made there.
Yeah, maybe. As long as you don't put more than 15% of it to paying the salaries of your administrators, it'll be fine.
God, I'm kidding.
68%. God, that's so criminal.
68%. That's embezzlement. That's stealing.
It is. It's just criminal.
Malappropriation.
Hey, but not illegal, right?
Not technically.
So there's a couple things that I have to cover because they're just too good for us not to cover. So there was this thing with Maxine Waters. Remember where there was a meeting going on at the Department of Education, and a bunch of liberals tried to show up and sort of crash the meeting to be helpful? Did you see this
We're
footage?
coming in. We're coming in. Don't lock the door. We're coming in. Who are you?
You're not coming in.
Who are you?
Who are you?
Who are you? Who are you?
Who are you, sir?
Do you have business here?
Yes. I have sent the secretary. I have sent the assistant secretary a letter alerting her that we would be here today, and we've asked her for a meeting.
Yeah.
For a security guard.
This guy's basically in charge of the Department of Nope.
Yeah, right.
We said we were going to show up to this thing. Well, do you have an appointment? No, but we're coming in. Yeah, hey, you work for us. We're the Congress. Are we going to come in? No. And Maxine Waters, of course, just went at it. Watching this guy just calmly stand there and just say, no.
Nope.
You bunch of nitwits aren't invited. You're not coming in. You're not going to like filibuster and grandstand or any of that shit. You're just not coming in.
That was 3 weeks ago.
That was so beautiful. I love this so much. This outstanding that they did that.
And this guy's personality was great. He was just like, no.
If he's Australian, he'd say it like that. No.
Members of Congress. You are.
We haven't heard that from the secretary. We haven't heard that from the spokesman.
I'm relaying that.
You are not the spokesman for the department. You are a security guard.
Can you identify?
We're members of Congress.
Where's your bag?
Yeah, but you're not coming in. You're just not. That's just the end of it. It's just not going to happen. Which is just the best thing, honestly. Let's see. Maxine Waters. Terrible. This is a hateful comic. I disavow. Okay. Let's see.
She looks like a cigar store Indian.
Okay, so yeah, I know. So I absolutely have to talk about some defense news, right? So of course, Trump.
The USS Harry S. Truman, CVN-75, is back in the Mediterranean Sea now. But before they left the Red Sea, they executed President Donald J. Trump's first airstrike order of his current term as Commander-in-Chief. On January,
they bombed the ever-loving crap out of ISIS in Somalia. But then they do like 10 airstrikes, and they took out this guy in his little cave who's been the mastermind behind a whole bunch of stuff. This is exactly what I was hoping for. You know,
he was the head of Al Qaeda in Somalia.
Yeah,
now he's more atomically spread across.
He's more of a pink mist in the desert, is what he is.
Exactly, pretty much, largely.
But honestly, why was it so difficult? I mean, I understand that the Democrats are stupid and inept and feckless, but it's not like things have fundamentally changed that much. It's just the people at the top authorizing something like this to happen. Why wouldn't the Biden White House do the same thing? I'm not trying to be an ass here. I sort of don't understand where the lack of motivation was, unless they were just enjoying the situation as it was. We could just try out all our techniques. Because we were using... we were experimenting with various kinds of non-kinetic solutions to cruise missiles and drones. Mm-hmm. That's a thing that came out. We don't even know exactly what those things are, but it's some sort of ECM thing that we think jams the hell out of their Houthi missiles. So they were getting good practical experience knocking 500 of these damn things. That's roughly the number that they've had launched on them over the last few years. But was there just no willingness to get the job done? And then Trump shows up and he's just like, bomb them. And then they say, yes, sir. And then this guy's gone. Well, I don't understand what was deficient with the Biden administration.
Well, there was no direction at all. There was no motivation to do anything. That was completely reactive.
But it's so obvious.
It may be obvious to you, but it wasn't obvious to the demented old man running the White House.
If he doesn't care about our troops or our country or our interests or anything.
He cares about not trusting a shark. That's what he cares about.
Cared about when his next scoop of vanilla ice cream was.
Yeah. He wasn't actively pursuing a set of goals, an agenda. He didn't have a plan. He didn't have ambitions to accomplish this or that. His accomplishments were to get up in the morning and go to bed at night. It's a sad thing, but that's what happens with, very old and disabled people. The hateful thing was the way that the Democratic Party used them as sorry about that. Somebody coming home.
Does your dog do that whenever Biden's name is mentioned?
Yeah, exactly. It's a very Republican dog. No, it's nothing like that. It's one of the family members coming home, and it always happens at this time during the show. And
it's okay. Drink, everybody.
And here we are. Yep. Okay. Drink up.
I wish I could drink. I can't.
But anyway, yeah, Biden had no plan. So Trump comes in, and here's the thing that I'm concerned about with Trump. Trump is going to come in and take all these easy W's. He's reversing a lot of stuff that clearly had gone too far the other way, was out of line with what American people wanted to see happen with their country. And he's going to take all those easy W's. He's going to start, all these things start momentum of their own. They start processes of their own. And they, I'm concerned that they are reflexively just flexing against every Democratic position and may not be thinking about what's going to happen next and what's next after that. They're really not considering the consequences of some of what they're doing. They think they're doing the right thing just because it's contrary to what the Biden administration was doing. But I don't get the feeling that this is terribly well thought out or really well planned.
No. Well, speaking of plans, this is a Chinese tilt rotor thing that it's basically their clone of the Osprey. Let's make it be quieter so it makes less noise. So they've got their little Osprey clone and they're demonstrating it, which is exactly the kind of plane you would want if you were going to, I don't know, invade an island right off your coast. This is exactly the kind of plane that you would want to deliver troops to Taiwan.
If they wanted to invade Taiwan, that'd be a great plane to have.
Yeah. The problem is that the V-22, the work that went into making it not crash all the time was significant. In fact, even after they deployed it, they had nothing but problems with it for the longest time. The fact that they have a prototype and they're showing it off doesn't necessarily impress me all that much. Try building them and operating them under a lot of different circumstances and then show me that you can actually make it work, because it's hard.
Right. Show me this plane after it's been operational for 6 months. Let me take a look at that plane and let's see what it looks like then. If assuming that it worked more than this one demonstration, that's another thing that's typical of the Chinese. They can have something that looks like it's a lot farther along than what it really is.
So let me tell you something about the V-22. I'll be super fast, I promise, Serenity.
You're good.
When you try to figure out how this thing's going to fly, you run this thing through a computer, and the tip of each one of those rotors goes around and around and around thousands of times per second, right? So it's generating this turbulent flow as it flows through the air, and then each tip that comes behind it is going into the turbulent flow of the one in front of it. Just trying to simulate this particular thing, because essentially you've got dynamic things feeding into dynamic things, feeding into dynamic things, is bloody difficult. This is actually a very hard kind of aircraft to build compared to any other kind of aircraft, because of the multiple rotors and the positioning and all this sort of stuff. This is a bloody hard aircraft to get right. Serenity.
Well, also, I always question anything that comes out of China if there's a jump cut. And there's a jump cut right after when it pulls to the end of the runway, and then they show it going off the runway. It makes it almost look like it's a little tiny one, not an actual big one. Because I think they do a fade out here in a second. I thought they did a fade out.
Oh, there you go. There's your jump cut.
Yeah, and then that to me for some reason looks like a little tiny model.
Yeah, it's all sus.
Yeah, it's China. They faked crap in the past, so it's like. And plus the fact that I'm not when the minute they turn the rotors on, like they make sure they go away from the crowd when they turn the rotors on. The fact that the lens looks like it's a fisheye because things look a little too big, if you catch my meaning.
Yep.
It's just, it's something done. It's China though. Nothing smells right.
Well,
in
look
China.
at this description. China's latest innovation, the plane helicopter hybrid that's changing aviation. We've had the V-22 for a long time.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
the Osprey was in testing for a very long time.
Yeah, and it was in, we put it out and it started crashing and we have to fix it for a long time after that too. It's taken us a long time to make that thing work.
Yeah.
Because like I said, it's a bloody hard plane to simulate because of the physics involved in the way the rotors work. So, good job, China. But
it
mostly
looks like they copied a lot from the Osprey.
Oh yeah, a lot. The body looks almost exactly the same.
It's really more of an homage, Skep. It's out of nothing but respect and admiration for the hardworking American designers.
China is a fucking tribute band.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, and like, even the sounds that the thing's making sounds like it's been added in later. Like, everything like that makes me look out for AI art is tripping me up with this, because it just, like, the fact that you can, if you watch the people, they're moving way too fast. They've sped it up too. Like, they sped the video up. Like, it's just everything's just making my brain tick that this is not real.
Maybe.
Or if it is real, it's very, like, why didn't they show it flying for a long time? They just show it taking off and then that's it. They didn't show it landing.
Here's what I think is going on.
Yeah.
Serenity, what I think is going on is they can't transition to propeller style flight. That's what they're having problems with.
Yeah.
They can get the thing up in the air as a hugely inefficient rotary aircraft, but what you don't see is them doing the transition, and that is a tricky thing. That's what has gotten U.S. servicemen killed.
Yeah.
It's always usually the transition on landing.
And it's just, and like I said, if you watch the people, they very obviously have been sped up too. It's like, how long did it take that freaking wing to turn that you had to speed the people up? Make it look like it's just everything in this.
Also that propeller unfolding, that did not unfold that fast. That was
there's no way in hell.
Guaranteed that was speeded up.
Yeah.
No, you can see the way the photographers are jerking when it opens up. This was sped up.
Yeah, and that's it's like I trust nothing out of China.
Yeah.
Because I've seen way too many videos where they've faked stuff, and I'm just like,
look at the photographers jerking in the foreground.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's just.
Yeah. Well, suddenly they move really fast. They're speeding it up, and then
All right. Stop.
I'm just trying to help.
This is my pet duck, Adam. Adam. Okay. Sorry. So really quickly, because I know this will amuse you. You know how people say we wish California would just slide into the ocean?
Well,
I hear that a lot when people say. So it turns out there actually is a part of California that is sliding into the ocean.
Shows some communities in the South Bay shifting toward the ocean. Radar from JPL reveals the land slipping toward the ocean by as much as 4 inches per week last fall. Researchers say that's enough to put human life and infrastructure at risk. Areas affected include Rancho Palos Verdes, Rolling Hills Estates, and San Pedro. The Palos Verdes Peninsula has experienced accelerated land movement due to hurricane.
Yeah, 4 inches, up to 4 inches per week.
It's almost like removing all the trees because you put the wrong trees there, as Skep pointed out a long freaking time ago, with eucalyptus and all those, and notchpole pines needing fire to disseminate themselves, and then building all that crap buildings, and then having earthquakes constantly. Yeah, it's shocking when the land starts to move.
Yeah, well, they're claiming that that the torrential rain from the hurricane remnant really sped things up.
It's almost as if you need ground cover and trees to keep things places.
Well, maybe. Yeah, basically a huge amount of California is just a slow-moving landslide into the ocean. But it's Southern California, so I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, I care, but
Well, I care a little bit because I have cousins
It doesn't
in San
impact
Diego.
me directly.
But that's the only thing I care about is San Diego. That's the only thing I care
San
about.
Diego's a great town, honestly.
Yeah, I have family there. I don't want to have them go away.
Everything else. San Diego is a great town. I love that
look
town.
at those people. They're probably like, I paid $40 million for this damn thing, and now it's going away.
I really like San Luis Obispo, and I really like San Diego, but everything in between is pretty
Kinda
terrible.
sucks.
I heard Orange County isn't too bad.
Used to be pretty okay.
It used to be okay. It's not now.
Okay.
Yeah. God, what was it? I went to a present. What do I call it? It was was it a seminar or presentation? Anyway, it was a bunch of people.
One of them things.
Getting together to talk about something at the computer center at UC San Diego one time. It's a really nice campus. You could be very comfortable going to school there for 4 to 5 years. It's actually a really nice place. I don't hate it, but unfortunately, to get from my hotel to there, I had to go through this terrible traffic, and it took like an hour and a half each time. That was unfun.
Isn't that the 404
I don't know.
that everyone always bitches about? I think it's the
I've
404.
blocked it all out in my mind. I'm trying to not think about it
War
too much.
PTSD.
Okay.
It's my nom.
Here is my favorite thing of the week right now. Is everybody here? Are we missing anybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Here we go.
Oh, Lord. I'm worried.
Yes, U.S. Navy Burke-class destroyer unleashes Helios laser in breathtaking new photo.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice. It is a
We
destroyer
got lasers, ladies and gentlemen.
with a ginormous freaking laser on it.
Freaking laser.
We're here, folks.
Love
This
the
is
perks.
this is what we've waited for right
So
here.
were they just aiming it, or were they trying to take out a target?
I don't care.
Well, I want to see what the target looks like if they were trying to take out a target.
I think I have
There's
some.
a poor cooked seagull somewhere.
Okay, well, I have some
Sunfish
video.
are now cooked.
Or,
I have
or
some video
worse,
of them
it's
using it.
albatross.
Will this
Do it.
satisfy you? Okay.
Yes.
2,
Oh, fuck you.
1, fire!
Entering Star Blazers! God, it takes forever. That damn laser takes for fucking ever.
Apparently, they were shooting it at Jupiter.
Apparently. As long as this is a deep cut for a video game called EVE Online, but as long as no one points the high-powered laser to the center of our sun, I'll be okay with it.
No, the fact that we have battle destroyers with, it's the Arleigh Burke class destroyer with a ginormous freaking laser on it. So it says here, okay, the Helios high energy laser with integrated optical dazzler and surveillance is a versatile weapon designed to counter a range of modern threats, including drones, fast attack craft, and potentially incoming missiles. Developed by our friends at Lockheed Martin, it can deliver over 60 kilowatts of directed energy. Get some. Enough to power up to 60 homes. But the thing is, it's not how many homes you can power. It's a coherent beam of energy focused on like a very small range. It's like reach out and touch someone with 60 kilowatts of power in a very small spot.
Well, I was about to say it's a very localized spot and it's very fast too. So it's not like it's like wee. It's
Yeah. Yeah,
Sorry,
enough to
Skep.
power. So, one of its most unusual features is its layered defense approach, enabling both hard and soft kills of hostile threats. Meaning, you can dial it back to disable something versus destroy it.
Everybody who loves Star Trek, we're gonna have phasers.
No, they're
set
not
the phaser
phasers.
to stun.
So the thing about lasers, if you're trying to suppose you've got like a missile and it's like a shiny missile, right? It's like all aluminum, right? Space age. And you hit this thing with the laser, what can happen is it'll hit the target and it will make a cloud of plasma, which then distorts the laser beam so you can't get the power to the target. So if you deliver a lot of it all at once, it overcomes that problem because you're not basically trying to shoot the laser through this cloud of plasma, or you can have it be a pulse laser. There's different things you can do, but you can't just mindlessly shoot lasers at things and expect good things to happen.
Oh, we'll get there.
Yeah.
But as Assassin and Chad explained, Dazzler mode will fry the optics of missiles. Thank you, Assassin.
Yeah.
It's still a funny name, and it's the name of an X-Men mutant.
Yep.
So that makes it even funnier.
The Helios system's deep magazine, low cost per kill, speed of light delivery, and precision response enable it to address
we
fleet
love a
needs
budget
now.
queen.
Yes, exactly.
And
Yes.
its mature, scalable architecture supports increased laser power levels to counter additional threats in the future. Yeah, it's not a coincidence that there are 2 freaking nuclear reactors on our
I was about
aircraft
to say
carriers.
the Burke is a nuclear aircraft, is a nuclear ship, right?
No,
I don't know. No, it
that's
isn't.
an Arleigh Burke. That has a
Regular turbine.
regular turbine engine. And what do you do on foggy days?
You aim and you
There's
kill.
a lot of foggy days at sea.
Yeah.
I don't know if people know.
Yeah.
Fog's a thing.
You
Happens
use
a
the
lot.
you use the laser to burn the fog off. I don't know.
No.
Well, I guess it depends.
You don't have a weapon.
But the fog, if your threat model is focused on drones and missiles and things, and they're using inertial guidance and optical tracking, the fog is part of your defense at that point. So if it's so foggy that you can't use your weapon, probably a lot of things aren't going to be able to target you because you're not in a fixed location. It's not like you can just type GPS coordinates in. You've got to have a pigeon or something guiding the thing with a little hat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's like it's just.
But they've put these in the nose of airplanes too, right? So this kind of system doesn't necessarily.
They did one.
Yeah.
Oh, I just had a thought.
But it
what
is
if
cool.
what if they replace the Gatling gun on the front of the A-10 with a Gatling gun laser?
No, you put the laser right
cool.
next to it because you want to have lots of options. Kinetic
very
delivery
true.
is
You
good.
do both.
You want to have a kinetic one.
Yeah,
weapon.
you want to Sergeant York it and Sea Whiz it and just all the things. You want
But
all
you
of the
put
things.
a little tiny laser Gatling gun next to the big Gatling gun. This way, it's 2 Gatling guns, and you just fire both of them.
Where does the power come from for the?
I don't know. I
on-
don't
on
care.
the
Let me
airplane?
dream, Skep. Let me dream.
Okay.
On the airplane. Well,
just have a really long extension cord.
Exactly. Solar powered. We put solar panels on the wings.
There you go.
yeah. Well,
Probably need some big wings.
Well, we've come a
but
long
yeah,
way
it
from,
could happen.
what was it, excimer lasers, where they basically were saying, well, we're going to do one big laser burst by using a small nuclear device to basically create a laser beam and focus it, because that's efficient, right? That's a very efficient way to make a laser.
Yeah, they thought that was it.
Well, they were also, gosh, if you talk about this 20 years ago, people were thinking, well, what had the energy density? Hydrogen fluoride lasers. Right, so you could use a chemical thing to make it work, but the solid state lasers have gotten so good over the years that the amount of power it takes to generate that laser beam, they're just a lot more efficient.
They are a lot more efficient, but you still have to have power.
And Assassin said that there's plans to put it on the F-35.
Nice. Well, obviously, you would just be doing bursts, and you'd be feeding a capacitor.
I know, but
as
it's still a
opposed to-
cool concept. We could have X-Wings in my lifetime.
We could. Well, where does
It'd
power
probably
come
be
from?
more feasible to develop something akin to GoldenEye, which is basically just a low Earth satellite that is basically just a nuclear reactor orbiting Earth that has this focusing apparatus that shoots a laser directly down at a target.
Put it on the moon.
And the thing is, that alleviates a whole lot of the problems that Skep was just outlining about things like mist or other bad weather things, because all you really need is a set of coordinates, and this beam is just going to come straight down, cut through anything. And I mean, I can imagine that's the end stage of this kind of weapons development. Firing them off of ships, it's just like, Bikini Atoll, where they tested nukes because they were just like way the fuck away from everything, surrounded by lots of water. I'd imagine the same kind of deal, because you're not going to put this on an aircraft.
It's actually harder than, unfortunately, there are things that make what you're suggesting difficult functional. For one thing, you're shooting through atmosphere with different layers. The turbulence in the atmosphere is actually really terrible. But adaptive optics can get around a lot of that. But I don't think they're going to be kind enough to have a small laser that they shoot at your weapon so you can calculate what the distortion is and then apply the inverse through adaptive optics to your laser to shoot back at them. That would just be too... I think that's just expecting your enemy to be too agreeable.
But we have freaking lasers.
We do have freaking lasers.
But, like, we have freaking lasers.
I just love this. I just love this picture because it just immediately reminded me of Star Blazers.
Well, it's like if the aliens do know we exist, if there even are any, and they've looked at our planet, they just went, well, fuck. Goddamn Americans.
Nah, that's pretty cool. You could definitely. This is a nice thing to add to the arsenal. Honestly. But
keeps everybody on their toes.
But in terms of power, because we were talking about turbines, you can produce. I mean, on jets and things, turbines produce a hell of a lot of power. Your APCs are basically little turbines, right?
Yeah, sure.
No, unlike a big jet. Aren't the auxiliary power units basically little turbines? And also they have little passive ones that are used for when things start to fail. It's like literally like a fan that you where you duct air in and then use the power from the forward motion of the plane to power the hydraulics. Anyway, that's a long, complicated topic. I think we can call it now. We've done our 2 hours and my voice is starting to go.
Right.
So anybody else
We
have
have
any?
to let Harry rest.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not going to rest. I'm just going to stop doing this.
Good job, Harry. Thanks for playing hurt. You did a good job.
Actually, it wasn't so bad. Remember that time when I lost my voice completely? That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually that was not fun. Well, anyway, this has been your Minions of the Zoo for Saturday. Thank you, panel. Thank you, chat. Thanks for people in chat listening to me give ham-fisted big paintbrush interpretations of military hardware. Please don't hurt me in chat. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.